Welcome to Unit 5 on Risk Mitigation and Management Strategies. The agenda for this unit is as follows: political risk management characteristics, firm and country political risks, risk mitigation strategies. Then we turn to private sector consulting examples, Accenture political risk management controls, and PricewaterhouseCoopers risk mitigation strategies. First, we turn to political risk management characteristics. There are three key characteristics. First, risk tolerance across different sectors. Different sector types will have varying tolerance for risks depending on the type of business and assets they rely on. For example, the energy sector, oil and gas, are naturally dependent on the location of the resources they are extracting. This differs from, say, manufacturing or even more so financial services sectors that have greater freedom in where they need to locate. Here you are not held to a particular area in making a decision in where to locate based on natural resources. Our third characteristic is that political risk does not necessarily result from type of political system, but changing political and social economic conditions after agreements made can create political risk. A third characteristic is that a distinction needs to be made between political uncertainty and instability, e.g. warm revolution, and policy uncertainty and instability, e.g. fiscal and monetary reforms. For example, Shell in Nigeria operated in an environment of political instability, but this had little effect on Shell's operations. Actually, policy uncertainty benefited Shell, as Nigerian oil ministers were unable to be in power long enough to make and see through decisions, producing less interference for Shell. Now we turn to firm and country risks. A distinction must be made between firm-specific micro-political risks and country-specific macro-political risks. Also, a distinction can be made between government risks, e.g. legal or legal government actions, and instability risks, including political power struggles like struggles over succession. On this slide, we see that we can make a grid incorporating these attributes. Government and firm-specific risks include discriminatory regulations, creeping expropriations, breach of contract. At the country level, there is mass nationalizations, regulatory changes, and currency inconvertibility. These government risks we will be covering in particular more detail during this course. In the instability risk columns for firm-specific risks, we see sabotage, kidnappings, and firm-specific boycotts. For country-level risks, there are mass labour strikes, urban rioting, and civil wars. Now we turn to risk mitigation strategies. There are four main strategies: retention, reduction, transfer, and avoidance. Retention, as it suggests, is where a company decides to retain the risk, take the hit should something happen. Corporations may decide to set aside a certain level of funds to compensate for unexpected losses in their business, e.g. expropriation, adverse regulatory changes, etc. Political risk can be reduced by affecting the probability of damage, loss prevention, or by reducing the consequences of an event, loss control. For example, Scania set exposure limits if the class is 2 or higher and to buy insurance. Third is transfer. This is divided into insurance, contractual arrangements, and financial arrangements. For insurance, there are three types. First, the private sector. This includes companies like Lloyd's of London who focus on ships and AIG. Second is national government export credit agencies, e.g. the US Overseas Private Investment Corporation, OPIC, which has political risk insurance program. Third is multilateral government NGOs, e.g. World Bank's Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, MIGA. Next, contractual arrangements. These include joint ventures, franchising, and risk pooling. Lastly, financial measures like a letter of credit from a bank to make or receive payment. But the letter of credit is only as robust as the bank itself, and we have seen in the financial crisis how even banks can be risky and collapse. Our final main strategy is avoidance. As it suggests, you can just avoid the risky sectors, regions, or clients. Next we turn to two private consulting firms for managing risk. You will see on this slide two columns, risk type and examples. Compare this list with slide 5. You will see some additional political risk types like taxation and bribery. This slide lists suggested risk management controls by Accenture, ranging from portfolio diversification through to community initiatives and supply chain resilience. Take a look to read through these. Finally, we look at PwC. Here they list their risk management approaches, map the politics, evaluate the risks, assess controls and plans, determine the acceptability of residual risks. To sum up, you will see some core risk types and approaches appearing in these various approaches across the readings. While they may have slightly different take on the lists, they do provide a sample of the key areas that you need to be aware of to develop and build your own risk management approach and identifying risk types. Well, that wraps up Unit 5. Thank you for your time.